Welcome to this morning's meeting of the KT Group 2021. If you missed seeing this live, you still have the opportunity of watching it in the privacy of your own home and on your own computer, but you've missed some of the best bits already, but we will possibly recap some of those before we go. So just saying very quickly to recap, that when we meet as a group, if we're still online, it will only be 40 to 45 minutes at a time, a couple of times a month, probably on a Sunday morning like this being 11:15 on this Sunday morning, if you're in the present time. And once we get back to being in the real world, if we are able to meet under one roof together, then it'll probably be a little bit longer, but there will be food, okay? As was the hint in the package of goodies that was sent to you, one of the major features of the KT group is eating biscuits and crisps and drinking, not grape juice. That's all we had. We don't know if we gave you any, did we? I can't remember. But anyway, we'll have Diet Coke and whatever other beverages you choose once we're back here in the synagogue to meet. So that's all part of the fun as well. And even pizza, as you may have noticed, or you will notice shortly. So that's what's going to happen. What we're studying, as I was just explaining to those who are here already, and I won't go over too much detail again because it's not fair to them, but what we're going to study is not the facts and figures of what happened in the Holocaust in the 1930s and the 1940s, but rather what it was that made it happen, what it is about human behavior, about the way human beings treat each other, that makes us want to do those kind of things, to persecute, to set a group of people aside because they're different. Where does prejudice come from, and why is it so much a part of who we are, and why does it often manifest itself in ways where we end up persecuting and even murdering those people who are different to us? And that's the key feature of the whole thing. And also the key question, that's the word key used twice, that's very, very clumsy and careless English there, I do apologize. The critical question is, if such things were to happen again, and there's stuff going on in the world that makes it seem that that may be the case, what would you do? You in this room with the possibility to be part of this course, who are young liberal Jews living in the 21st century, what would your response be to the level of prejudice and the level of persecution that took place in Germany 80 years ago and is taking place all around the world today? Will you be a bystander and just stand and watch it all happen and shrug your shoulders and say, well, I can't do anything to change it? Or will you be an upstander? Will you stand up and protest and make a noise and complain about what's going on and try and influence what's happening? That's the question. Those are the key questions that we're going to be asking you and getting you to think about. And I don't know if, Mike, if you want to add anything to that at this point of the proceedings.
Just one thing. I think that it's too late, as it was in Nazi Germany when the Nazis got elected. It was really too late by that point to be that upstander, and we wouldn't expect you. Hopefully, it'll never get to the point in this country that we have something as disastrous as that. But if you reduce it down to smaller levels, and you maybe discuss how you interact with your friends and in schools, all different groups where there might be people outside of your, call it a friendship circle, even if you stand up and you don't allow someone else to pick on someone else, that in itself is an act that reduces hatred, reduces prejudice. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about in the video that you've seen, but the people watching this recorded will see it later. One of the past KT people said about it gave them confidence. One of the things I want to say is, and why it's so different from school, although school might be different from when I went just a few years ago, is that I want to, the students in the past KT classes have type of led the course. If I see, and if Pete sees something of particular interest that the participants are interested, don't want to call you kids if I'm not allowed to do that.
Right.
We encourage and we want you to express yourself. Never be afraid to express an opinion. We respect each other's opinions. You can't just say something is rubbish, for example. You'd have to say why it was rubbish, but you'd be free to express those type of things. And I think it would help you in your future studies to, I think they call it, is it critical, something or other, critical appraisal? You look at something and you analyze it and you make up your own judgments, your own conclusions. And I think I'll stop now because I didn't prepare anything.
No, that's fine.
I might start rambling.
Nothing is prepared. That's what's so brilliant about this talk. Time, which makes it great fun. No, not quite as bad as that. So this would be the point, of course, where we'd say, okay, it's time for a break now and eat whatever goodies were available. But I wanted to do a little bit of explanation about the presence of a cream egg, a Cadbury's cream egg in your gift package. Now, cream eggs have a particular significance to me, and I'd like to point out, and I'm going to get in touch with Cadbury's or whoever it is that owns them these days, and point out that they're lying. Because you may have noticed, or you haven't been out, have you? You will eventually notice, if you ever go out and are allowed in the shop, that Cadbury's are doing this big thing, that it's the 50th anniversary of the Cadbury's cream egg, right? And that's a lie. It has to be a lie, because I know, and I'm going to tell you a little story, and this story happened in 1966, okay, which is more than 50 years ago. Was it 1966? Yes, it was. That's right. 1965 or 1966, when I was a little 8-year-old boy. Because one of the things that we are also going to talk about at different points of the course, in between the stuff that looks at the prejudice and the way that human beings have this capacity to be cruel to each other without even really thinking about it, is occasionally we'll have conversations about religion. Okay, you all did a bar bat mitzvah ceremony a few months ago, or in some cases are going to do one eventually when you get round to it. You stood up on the bimmer, you read from this silly book, and we spent some time studying the strange book and what it's trying to tell us and all the things of that. And the question is, I know when I was your age, because of the bar mitzvah I'd had and because of the education that I'd been given, I'd given up on Judaism completely by the time I was 13 and about a week year old. I'm not going to bore you with the story of how I got to end up being a rabbi, but occasionally we get into conversations about what is this Judaism thing all about? Because now you get to think about it yourself. One of the participants in the KT group years and years ago, I'm talking like 14 years ago, one of the first KT groups, when we had a meeting about it, he said, quite unprompted by me, he said, well, the difference between bar mitzvah and KT, he said, you do a bar mitzvah because your parents want you to do it, but you do Kabbalat Torah because you want to do it. It's your own personal decision, and you get a chance to ask the kind of questions and think the kind of thoughts that you otherwise wouldn't be able to ask, especially if you happen to be at a Jewish school where they keep telling you, well, you must believe this and that's all there is to it. So it's quite a good opportunity. And the cream egg story goes like this. This was, as I say, I was a little 8 or 9-year-old, and it was the first time that I met God, or actually didn't meet God, to be precise. And I was a little boy, little Cub Scouts. And little Cub Scouts in those days used to go out during the Easter holidays and do a thing called Bob a Job, which I don't suppose you'll have any understanding of anymore. But what I used to do, I used to go around the local neighborhood, knock on people's doors, and somebody would open the door, hopefully, which is the way it just shows that those were the days when little 8-year-olds could go up and knock on people's doors without fear of being kidnapped. And little old ladies could open their doors without fear of being mugged. Those were the good old days. So anyway, I knock on this door, and what you do is you offer to do a job to help this person out. Maybe you cut the grass, or you wash their car, or something like that, and they give you a bob, which is a shilling, okay, which is before decimalization, and that was 5p, okay, 5p. You get 5p for doing a job like washing somebody's car. Amy's raising her eyebrows, absolute shock that you get so little for it. But it used to go you a long way. So, and the shilling went to the Cub Scouts, and one of the ladies that I did a job for, I washed her car, and she gave me a shilling for my Cub Scout group, and she gave me sixpence, which is half a shilling, which is 2.5p to spend on sweets, which doesn't sound like very much. But back in those days, when I was a little lad, and everything was in black and white. I took my 2.5p, my sixpence, to the sweet shop just around the corner, and I bought a cream egg. Okay, you could buy a cream egg for 2.5p. They're like 65p now, okay, but you could get them for 2.5p in those days, and they were bigger. They've made them smaller over the years. Anyway, so I'm on my way home from the sweet shop, having done my little job and got my special sweets. I took a bite out of this cream egg, and as I started chewing it, I suddenly thought, oh my God, it's Pesach. It's the Passover, because remember, it was Easter holidays. And I'm thinking, now what? Everything I've got in my house says kosher for Passover on it, all the jam, everything everywhere. What's going to happen if God has seen me eating this cream egg? So I'm walking up the street, and I took the half of the cream egg that I hadn't eaten and shoved it into the hedge in somebody's garden, hoping that they weren't looking. And I just stood there waiting for the ground to open up in front of me, thinking, okay, God, I'm really sorry. I know I broke your laws. I know you're going to kill me. Just get it over with quickly. So I stood there waiting, and like nothing happened. So I took a couple of steps home towards my home, thinking, oh, well, maybe the ground will just open up and swallow me. And still nothing happened. And by the time I got home, I thought, well, obviously God doesn't believe in his own laws or doesn't care about people breaking them. So that was the beginning of that was the first argument I had with God, where I said, well, what's the point of writing these laws, mate, if you don't actually enforce them? If I've just broken a law by eating a cream egg during Passover, which isn't kosher for Passover, what's the point? And so ever since then, and you may see it if you may have seen it if you joined the Communal Seder last year online, or if you joined the one this year, which is in exactly 4 weeks' time, the second day of Pesach, when we do our Communal Seder, I always have a cream egg on my Seder plate, okay? Just to remind me that Judaism actually isn't, and believing in God and being a good person and all the rest of it has absolutely nothing to do with what you eat, okay? So that was the lesson I learned when I was just 8 years old. And as I say, that was 54 or 55 years ago, and there were cream eggs. So Cadbury's are lying when they say this is the 50th anniversary. So that's why you've got a cream egg in your bag. Have you eaten it yet? Yes, Amy's is gone. Ellis? No?
Not yet.
Good. Well, I hope you'll enjoy it now. Or you could save it till Pesach if you like and put it to the test. See if God's changed his view in the 50 odd years in between. Aaron, have you eaten yours, or has your brother nicked it?
It's next to me.
Next to you. Amazing. That's what I like to hear. Good. Okay. Well, you can shove it in your face and we won't even see because we can't. Okay. So that's, as I say, as well as talking about aspects of why and how people persecute each other, and what are the thought processes that make people behave in that particular way, and what can we do as individuals, as free individuals in a society to protest against that kind of behavior and stand up against it. We might also throw in the occasional conversation about God, because I'm a rabbi. I'm sorry, you can't help it. I talk about God every now and then. What can you do? What can you do? Anyway, have you guys got any questions about what lies ahead if you make the amazingly correct decision to be part of the Kabbalat Torah group this year? Ellis is shaking his head. Amy is shaking her head. Aaron could be taking his trousers off for all I know, because his camera's not working. But let's assume that he is also shaking his head or possibly eating his cream egg. Well, look, the whole point. Yeah, go on. Yes.
When are you planning the Berlin trip?
Okay, trip to Berlin. Berlin is the highlight, as you may have guessed or worked out from the video that you saw. And those who are watching this after the event, you will get a chance to see that video in just a moment. The trip is scheduled for the 16th and 17th of August, the date that's actually on that pretend made up boarding pass that I produced for you. Okay, it's not a real boarding pass. Do not attempt to use it to get onto an EasyJet flight with, because it's totally phony. So in order to go to Berlin, the first thing you need is a passport that's valid. We don't need visas yet, because even though we're not in the EU anymore, they still let us in without a fuss. We're going to go on Monday, the 16th of August, and come back on Tuesday, the 17th of August. That's the plan. My guess is that not many, if any of you, are going on exotic summer holidays this year, because none of us are. But my belief is that by then we will have permission to do educational trips, and this will certainly fall into that category. Okay, so we leave shul at about 4 o'clock in the morning on the 16th of August. Oh, sorry, Amy. Okay, maybe 5 in the morning. We'll see how we go. And then we get back at about 8 o'clock the following day. So it's one night, but it's 2 full-on days, as was said in the video. And I mean, these guys that you just heard speaking, or you're about to hear speaking on the video, in some cases, it's 15 years since they went, okay? That long since they went to Berlin, and still they remember it. So I think that gives you some idea of how important and how significant it is to be part of this Kabbalat Torah group. Anyway, unless you have any other questions or anybody else has anything to add that I've maybe forgotten, I think we'll leave it there. I really appreciate you guys coming along this morning. And I will now take on the task of trying to, not that it's wrong, having a group of 3 is fine. And if Amy, if you're happy being stuck with these, with Ellis with his multicolored drawers, and Aaron is probably not wearing any drawers at all, but then we can't see, so it doesn't matter. But I will try and find you a female companion so that you're not the one on your own, okay? We'll give it, unless you don't want one, that's another matter altogether. We'll find someone for you, darling. So that's it. Thank you for coming this morning. For those who are watching this on the recording, I am going to now play the video again that I played to these guys earlier. If you want to watch it again, you're welcome to do so, but you're under no obligation to. So if you have had enough and you want to go and eat your cream egg in peace, or whatever else you want to do, Amy, it's entirely up to you. We'll be in touch and let you know when the next meeting of the group is, and we'll start deciding what stuff you want to study. Because the bottom line is that, I think as Mike hinted, is that you get to choose what kind of things you want to study. We won't force you to do a particular aspect. Obviously, it's about that theme of human behavior. It's focused on that period of history when humans began to behave particularly badly for a whole variety of reasons. But anything within there that interests you, we've done stuff on kinder transport. We've done stuff on the Nuremberg trials after the war, when what were the criteria that were used to decide whether or not these were crimes against humanity. So there's all sorts of possibilities. We've looked at individual stories, like the story of Anne Frank, another story of Lisa, I've forgotten what her surname was now, but Lisa Jura, who was who went on to be a famous pianist, who escaped from Vienna and became a famous pianist, a concert pianist, when she came to this country. So it's not all just about bad things and people persecuting people and people dying. It's about the bravery and the courage of human beings as well, and how we survive those things and how we can help them to survive. I have talked for long enough, and thank you for listening. Aaron, I assume you're still there unless you've fallen asleep. No answer. That's very worrying.
I'm here.
There he is. Thank goodness for that. Okay. And enjoy the rest of your weekend, and good luck going back to school in just over a week, I believe. Is that right? Good luck with that one. Anyway, thank you guys. I'm going to play the video again now. If you're interested in watching it again, you know how brilliant it was. How could you not watch it again? But I'll let you off if you don't want to. And as I say, take care. Lots of love. Bye. And here, for those who are still with us, is the famous video. We have invited 8 young people who've taken part in the KT group between the years 2006 and 2016 to tell us what they thought about Kabbalat Torah. They don't say anything yet. It's okay, don't panic.
My KT experience was really enjoyable.
So KT is a really nice way to have some slightly different and more kind of open discussions about Judaism and religion.
I was part of KT 2011.
I did KT in 2010.
Doing KT was a unique experience.
I did KT like 10 years ago.
KT group was a great experience.
I decided to join the Kabbalat Torah class.
Thanks, guys. And what was one of the most significant parts of KT for you?
The lessons were engaging and didn't feel like your typical school lessons.
It's a really good way to get to know some more people your own age at synagogue.
It was an opportunity for me to form closer bonds with people I already knew from shul and to form new friendships with others.
I made some great friends through the programs.
We made a really nice group of friends.
I found people my own age in our community and created lifelong friendships.
Have such a laugh. I promise you, you will not want to miss out.
And Pete brought pizza as well, so that was fun. Go for that, if nothing else.
And what was the highlight of the year's program?
The trip to Berlin was a lot of laughs as well as some serious moments.
And of course, the trip to Berlin is really fun. It was really interesting and it gives you a bit of a different experience than if you went with school or family.
My favourite moment is definitely going to Berlin, where we got to see loads and loads of different places there.
I particularly enjoyed going to Berlin, learning about our Jewish history there.
We all got to go to Berlin together as well, which was a great trip.
You know, it was 2 days, but you pack in so much in such a short space of time. I got to really experience a city that I'd never been to before, learn, you know, so much about its history and just get a feel for kind of, you know, what Jewish life was like there.
Going to Berlin was really fun too.
Hi, my name's Ollie.
Thanks, Ollie. Anything else to say to encourage people to join the KT 2021 group?
Overall, it's just a really accessible way to get more involved and learn a bit more, whilst also having a laugh.
So it gave me confidence, which I still use today.
I really enjoyed the whole Kabbalat Torah experience.
I would recommend doing KT because it deepens your understanding in Judaism and is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
It was an awesome experience and love to be able to do it again.
And Pete brought pizza as well, so that was fun. Go for that, if nothing else.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Hi, my name's Ollie.
And that's it. Thank you for watching, folks. How can you possibly not want to join the 2021 Kabbalat Torah group after seeing that? Goodbye. Goodbye indeed. So, just remains for me to say to you, I am sorry that you weren't able to be with us this Sunday morning. I hope you enjoyed your Hamantaschen and your cream egg and your packet of crisps. And I hope that you'll join us to be part of this unique experience in the weeks and months ahead. I know you probably aren't very excited at the prospect of Jewish education, more of it when some of you get it at school as well. But as I hope you've got a sense from those videos, these are people who, as I said before, have did their Kabbalat Torah between 5 and 15 years ago, and it's clearly stuck in their memories. I didn't have to pay them anything to say those words. I didn't even have to get them a cream egg. But I've managed to bribe you with a cream egg, and this hasn't worked so far. But if you'd be good enough to watch this, give it some thought. And if you have any questions for me on how KT works and why I think it will be such a good thing for you to do, then I will happily come round to your house and shout at you through your window and tell you all about it. Anyway, good luck going back to school next week. Sorry. And I hope to see you one day soon when we're allowed to be back in this building, or at least on this Zoom chat line. Take care, be well, and I will now end this meeting. Farewell, everybody.